Okay, I want you to start by picturing the most vibrant, humid place on Earth.
Hmm.
We're in the Choco rainforest of Ecuador. It's loud, it's wet, and hopping through the leaf litter is this tiny little frog.
Right.
It's maybe an inch long, striped in dark red and white. It honestly looks like a piece of candy.
And usually, when we start with a biological opening like that, we're about to discuss, I don't know, conservation or maybe a new pharmaceutical.
Usually, but not today. Because I
Exactly.
want you to take that frog and I want you to mentally transport it 7,000 miles away to the most desolate frozen landscape imaginable.
The IK3 penal colony in the Russian Arctic.
The polar wolf colony.
Yeah.
Except, well, not the frog itself, but the chemistry inside of it. Because today, February 14th, 2026, that impossible connection between a South American amphibian and the death of Alexei Navalny, it's officially become a matter of state record.
It is a headline that, quite frankly, just stopped you in your tracks. We're looking at a joint statement released just hours ago by 5 major European powers: the UK, France, Germany, Sweden, and the Netherlands.
And they are not mincing words. They have officially concluded, with high confidence, that the Russian opposition leader was killed 2 years ago using epibetadine.
Which is the neurotoxin secreted by that specific dart frog you just described.
This is a massive story. I mean, for 2 years, we've had silence, rumors, the official line of sudden death syndrome.
And now this.
Today, the dam just broke. So our mission on this deep dive is to understand how we got here. We need to unpack the insane biology of this poison, the Mission Impossible style operation to get the evidence, and the geopolitical shockwaves that are hitting the Munich Security Conference as we speak.
And we have a lot to get through. We're looking at the full text of the joint statement, the toxicology reports that detail the weapon, reporting from the conference floor, and of course the counter statements coming out of Moscow.
So let's get into it, from the Amazon to the Arctic.
To really feel the weight of this, we have to look at where this announcement is happening. The Munich Security Conference.
It's not just any venue, is it?
No, it's the venue for global defense policy.
Mm.
And the date is just,
Mm.
it's crucial. Today is February 14, 2026.
Which is almost exactly 2 years since the news of Navalny's death first broke.
At that very same conference.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the reporting from the ground, the atmosphere at the hotel is described as
Wells.
suffocating. You have to remember, 2 years ago, the world's leaders were sitting in that same hall when the bulletin flashed across their phones.
Just total shock.
Shock, confusion.
And Yulia Navalny was there. I remember seeing the footage. She took the stage just hours after hearing her husband might be dead. She looked shell-shocked.
She was fighting to keep it together. She didn't even know if it was true yet.
Yeah.
But today, the sources describe a completely different person.
Yeah,
She walked onto that stage this morning not as a grieving widow, but, as a prosecutor.
that's a great way to put it. She held up the joint statement and called it vindication. Her quote was so powerful, something like,
2 years ago, it was just words.
right. But today these words have become science-proven facts.
And then she went further. She explicitly stated, Vladimir Putin is a murderer. Now, that's a charge she's made before, but this time,
This time she has 5 foreign ministries standing right behind her, nodding their heads.
let's talk about those ministries. The UK, Sweden, France, Germany, Netherlands. Like you said, this isn't some leak to a newspaper.
No, this is a coordinated diplomatic strike.
It is. And the language they used is legally very specific. They said, only the Russian state had the means, motive, and opportunity.
We see that phrase in criminal trials.
Exactly. But in geopolitics, it's a direct indictment.
And it validates what Yulia said back in September, too. Remember when she claimed they had smuggled biological samples out of Russia?
I do. And honestly, looking back at the commentary from then, a lot of analysts were skeptical. It sounded.
A little too Hollywood.
We smuggled samples out of the polar wolf colony. Yeah. People thought it was maybe a bluff, to force the Kremlin's hand.
But this report confirms it. The samples are real, they were tested, and they found something that has absolutely no business being in the blood of a human being in the Arctic Circle.
And that brings us to the weapon itself, epibetadine.
I really dove into the toxicology reports on this because, frankly, I'd never heard of this stuff. I know cyanide, ricin, Novichok,
Sure.
but this.
It's an incredibly obscure alkaloid. It was actually only discovered in the 1970s. Scientists were looking for non-opioid painkillers, and they found this Frog epipetabates tricolor down in Ecuador.
And the potency is just
horrifying.
The BBC spoke to a Dr. Jill Johnson, a toxicology expert. She said it is 200 times more potent than morphine.
That number is hard to even wrap your head around, but the mechanism is the real nightmare. Unlike morphine, which, shuts down pain, puts you to sleep, epibetadine is a stimulant at the receptor level. It binds to the nicotinic acetylcholine receptors in your central nervous system.
So it's not a peaceful drifting away.
Oh, far from it. It hijacks the entire nervous system. The report details the symptoms. First, uncontrollable muscle twitching. Then paralysis as the signals just get jammed. Seizures. Your heart rate slows way down bradycardia. And finally, your respiratory system just stops getting the command to breathe.
And the sources say this can happen from just skin contact.
Yes. It's lipophilic, which means it absorbs right through the fats in the skin. A tiny dose, maybe brushed against a door handle or on a piece of clothing, would be more than enough to kill an adult male.
Okay, here's where I got stuck during my reading, though. And I think this is the real crux of the investigation.
Go on.
We're talking about a frog poison. Frogs are nature. Couldn't the Kremlin just say, hey, maybe he ate a bad beetle, an allergic reaction, that sort of thing?
You've hit on the key scientific smoking gun. This is why the report is so confident. See, poison dart frogs are fascinating because they don't actually make the poison themselves.
They don't.
No. They sequester it from their diet, specifically from eating these tiny mites and beetles in the rainforest.
So if you take that same frog and you put it in a terrarium in Moscow and feed it, I don't know, fruit flies,
It becomes completely harmless.
Yeah.
Captive-bred poison dart frogs have zero epibetadine in their skin. None at all.
which means you can't just have a frog farm in Siberia producing this stuff.
Correct. You cannot harvest this from nature in Russia. It simply doesn't exist there. And because captive frogs don't produce it, you can't farm it. So that leaves only one option.
Synthesis. Someone made it in a lab.
And this is where we have to get a little technical to really understand the memes part of the accusation. Synthesizing epibetadine isn't like baking soda and vinegar. It has this complex, bridged ring structure. It involves something called chirality,
Yeah.
the sort of handedness of the molecule.
Right. I saw that in the report, the enantiomers.
Yes. To synthesize the correct lethal version of epibetadine without leaving a trail of chemical impurities requires incredibly sophisticated equipment. We're talking high-pressure reactions, specific catalysts, and a level of quality control you generally only find in, say, advanced pharmaceutical research or...
Or military chemical weapons programs.
Exactly.
So the argument is, this couldn't be some rogue prison guard with a chemistry set.
Impossible. The purity of the sample they found in Navalny's tissue indicates a state-level production facility. That is the means.
Okay, so we've established the weapon is a high-tech synthetic version of a jungle toxin, but now we have to talk about the part that really does feel like a thriller movie.
The investigation itself.
Yeah, the heist, essentially. Because Navalny died in February 2024. He was in a penal colony, famous for being completely isolated, guards, cameras, total control.
Mm-hmm.
And yet this report says samples of his blood and tissue were secured and smuggled out before he was buried.
How? The sources are, naturally protecting their method, so we have to read between the lines a bit here.
Sure.
But think about the chaos of those first few days. Navalny's body was held for over a week before it was released to his mother.
Right. I remember that standoff where they just wouldn't release the body.
During that window, there would have been autopsies, embalming preparations, transport. The joint statement implies that intelligence assets, either bribed officials within the system or maybe deep cover operatives, managed to intercept that biological material during the chain of custody.
It's staggering to think about the risk. If you're the courier carrying those vials, you know that getting caught isn't just a prison sentence.
It's the end of you.
Yeah?
And that explains the 2-year gap. Imagine you get these samples out. You can't just FedEx them to a lab in London. You have to move them through a cold chain across a closed border. Then, once you have them, you have to be absolutely certain.
Because if you come out and accuse a nuclear superpower of assassination and it turns out to be a false positive,
It would be a diplomatic catastrophe of historic proportions. That's why they used 2 independent labs in different countries. They would have run mass spectrometry, nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, every test in the book.
they had to rule everything out.
Everything. Every potential medication he was on, every natural cause. They had to be 100% sure it was synthetic epibetadine.
And that leads directly to the motive and opportunity part of the statement, which was laid out by the UK Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper.
Cooper really hammered this home. We have the means, the lab. The motive is Well, it's clear. Navalny was the single most effective critic of the regime. Even from prison, he was a threat.
A symbol.
A huge symbol. Cooper cited the overwhelming fear the state had of his voice.
And opportunity is the simplest one of all, isn't it? He was their prisoner.
Total custody. They controlled his food, his water, his clothes, his cell. To administer a contact poison like this requires access that no outsider could possibly have.
And now the Allies have taken this to the OPCW, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. This isn't just a press conference, it's a formal legal maneuver.
It is. It's a formal invocation of the Chemical Weapons Convention. They are accusing a member state of developing and using a novel toxic chemical for assassination. It's a grave breach of international law.
Now, in the interest of the full deep dive, we have to look at the other side. Russia isn't just sitting there taking this.
No, the pushback was immediate and predictable.
We saw the statement from Maria Zakharova, the foreign ministry spokesperson. She didn't hold back.
Propaganda, lies, information campaign. It's the standard vocabulary for these situations, but you have to look at her specific defense. She's arguing procedure.
How so?
She says, show us the formulas. Where is the math? She claims that no raw data, no test results have been officially presented to Moscow. So her argument is that the West is just making these unsubstantiated accusations to distract from their own problems.
It's a classic deflection, right? If you don't give us the physical sample.
Which they obviously won't, for security reasons.
Then it doesn't exist, and Putin.
It's the same as always.
Yeah.
Just detachment. When Navalny died, he called it a sad event and moved on. He has never engaged with the specifics of any of these accusations, and he's not about to start now.
But I want to ask you about the choice of weapon here, because this is where I get a little stuck on the strategy.
The why epibetadine question.
Yeah. We have a pattern. 2006, Litvinenko, polonium. 2018, Skripal, Novichok. 2020, Navalny's first poisoning. Novichok again. Those are military signatures.
Right.
Novichok basically screams, "Made in Russia."
It's like leaving a business card at the scene of the crime.
Exactly. But a frog toxin, it feels, I don't know, weirdly random. Is that an